I recently saw a video asking the question, is God pro-life? In this video, they make the statement that they had seen a bumper sticker making the absolute statement of that God is pro-life. They continue by making the conclusion that we don't understand God's true nature. Therefore, any statement about God that's absolute is invalid. Now, that's an interesting point, but then they go on to say something about God. They say that first, they'll discuss the nature of God and why people die. Well, wait a minute. I thought you said that we can't possibly understand the nature of God, so we can't obviously have any sort of discussion about it, since we can never understand the nature of who God is. And then they want to also discuss what abortion is. Well, let's put them together. They make a pretty decent statement about what God is known to be: all powerful, knowing, present, loving. I would say omnipresent, omnipotent, omnipotent, which is the same thing. And they also add an unable to lie and things of this nature. Then they say, now, defined by the literal interpretation of the Bible, that thou shalt not kill. And then they jump on to another part of the Christian Bible that talks about when the person was stoned. Now, you have to understand the Bible before you can quote from it. And it's really dangerous when you take these sort of two things and say, well, these conflict with each other. You see, killing and murder is viewed in the Bible as something very not good. However, death and punishment are recognized as consequences to sin. They, in the book in where he's quoting from, the Lord is talking to Moses, and he's telling Moses to get the person that had cursed the camp, that had done something bad, and to kill him, to punish him. So this is not killing in the sense of murder, this is punishment for his sin. Okay? So, is it wrong to kill? Yes. And in fact, there is another part of the Bible that says, he who hates his brother is a murderer. So if you hate, and by the way, in the Bible, brother means everybody. Everybody is your brother, everybody is your neighbor. There are several references to trying to make it where we see people that are not part of our family as our family, or as somebody that we could care about. And the important point here is, if you hate somebody, in your mind you've already killed them. So it's just as bad as if you literally killed him. Here, they are putting somebody to death for a consequence of sin as instructed by God. They're not killing him, they're putting him to death. That's very different. They're carrying out the natural consequence of sin is death. Alright, now that person had to be guilty, they had to have had a sin, and a sin bad enough for God to order that to happen. That's very unusual, and it's not done often. There are points in the Bible when people are turned into salt or stoned or or the flood, but these are people that are wicked in the eyes of God. He chose for them to be destroyed because they were sinners. That means they did something that offended God. Okay. Now, Augmenting all that, they skip right to that when people die, they go to heaven. That is part of people's plan. That is part of God's plan. Then they make the conclusion that God is responsible for when people leave this world. Now, see, they've already said in the beginning of this video, remember, we cannot make any absolute statements about what God's plans are or his abilities or the nature of God. We just simply know that God knows everything and is able to control everything. But again, they're missing out a key element of free choice. God gave people free choice to go against what God wanted for them. He gave people the ability to sin, which leads to death. Why would he do that? Well, that's a different subject, but let's continue with this video. So now he's going to talk about abortion because he's trying to link these two things together. But due to the length of this explanation where I take apart this guy's logic, this video is in 2 parts. So we'll have to get back to that in part 2. Peace out.